Good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. And here is our top story. We're going to learn more about the state of Nevada retirement system and specifically the state of Nevada Public Employees Deferred Compensation Plan. Well, let's welcome to the program Rob Beamer. He is the Executive Officer of the State of Nevada Public Employees Deferred Compensation Plan. Rob, great to see you. Thanks for joining the program today.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you.
Well, it's great, and you and I have known each other for quite some time, being part of the National Association of Government Defined Contribution Administrators, or NAGDA. But what I want to do is break down for the audience, you have a very important role, and that of the Executive Officer. And I want to talk a little bit about what your role entails and how you work together with your team, if you wouldn't mind.
So yeah, we at the state of Nevada here for the longest time, the program has been in existence, I should say, since the late 70s. Right. But for the longest time, our committee that's appointed by our governor, they kind of ran the program, if you will, on the corner of their desk. I know people from the DOL and and other regulatory agencies would probably love to hear that, right? But for the longest time, while we were young, they and early in our stages, they kind of ran the program on the corner of the desk while they were doing other duties. In the 80s, if you will, the late 80s, the legislature passed us being able to have professional staff on staff to kind of handle the program, the day-to-day operation and whatnot. And we've continued with that successfully up to this point. And about 2 or 3 years ago, the legislature again moved our program from being directly under the governor's office to under the Department of Administration. So the director of the Department of Administration and myself, we kind of work together to make sure that the day-to-day operations are happening, as well as that, you know, we're marketing our program as a viable benefit to state of Nevada employees.
Yeah, so
as well as Nevada system of higher education employees.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I mean, the people that are in this program, I think you were just saying, I mean, it's all state of Nevada employees, including people in the higher education field.
Yeah, correct. So it's we have not only state of Nevada employees, but we have the Nevada system of higher education, which brings in all of our higher ed folks. And then we also service and have as part of our program many of the political subdivisions throughout the state of Nevada, all but I think 5 or 6 political subdivisions, which would be the cities, counties, general improvement districts, smaller government entities that participate, maybe don't have a huge force where they can't drive, you know, the good pricing and good administration of the plan. They can join our plan and through a joinder agreement, and we accept them and they work with us and follow our plan documents and rules and all that stuff. Yeah,
and it's not uncommon. I think you were just alluding to this, that when these plans were first incepted, they were considered to be not primary vehicles. The primary retirement vehicles, typically the defined benefit plan, the pension plan in most states, and I would imagine that's the same in the state of Nevada. But the plan's really grown. I mean, the plan under your tutelage, your predecessor's tutelage, has really grown. It's evolved, and now it may not be comparable in exactly the same size as the DB plan, but it's got considerable amount of assets and considerable amount of participants, so it warrants that attention.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I am actually the third individual that's held this position since its inception. My predecessors did a fabulous job. Their tenure was fairly short because we were just kind of kicking that off. I think I've been in the position the longest. But the cool thing is because we have such a robust, like you alluded to, because we have such a robust defined benefit plan with Nevada PERS, which most individuals can can retire with 30 years of service credit and make 75% income replacement over the 3 highest average consecutive years of income throughout their career. That's pretty amazing. So deferred comp really becomes really probably one of the most valuable voluntary benefits that we have available to government employees here in the state of Nevada. The thing that we're trying to do now is we're really trying to drive that financial wellness component and if you will, kind of catch up to what we're seeing in today's age, right? And also trying to predict out, in the future of what kind of income replacement are individuals going to need when they retire in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges with regard to trying to figure that out and what kind of accumulation do we need to make happen now to be able to warrant that income replacement in 15, 20, 30 years when a person's going to need it, right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. This is the holy grail, right? This is retirement income decumulation, trying to figure that out. That's where the industry is trying to go, and I know that's something we talk about often at NAGDA. You have a unique, as we've been talking about, a unique position. You also work with a board of trustees, people from around the municipalities and around the state who serve in a fiduciary type of responsibility, even though they may or not be technically fiduciaries. They still follow those best practices. What's that like in terms of having conversations maybe about this, but also conversations about the plan in general?
When I get people that apply for board appointments, I go in and I kind of look and see what kind of fiscal background do they have? Do they have something that helps understand that will help them understand fiscal management? We kind of feel like because we have such a great investment consultant that we contract with, and with the assistance of our awesome record keeper, right, that we have currently, they play a huge part in helping me to be able to train our board members to be able to act in that fiduciary capacity, make those fiduciary decisions when it comes to not only plan design, but more importantly, investment management, selection, that sort of thing.
And
so,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Rob.
Go ahead. So it's been definitely a learning curve for me because I came from the industry, if you will, and understanding how that process works. And then, you add on the bureaucracy that's natural in government, in the public sector, especially in a state entity, right? And there's been a big learning curve for me to help us get committee members or board members that are that just function well and they make good, prudent decisions that are good on behalf of all the participant base, not just for the sector that they represent, if you will, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
we feel real good about that right now. The committee we have currently and past committees we've had have just done such a great job, and that in conjunction with our contractors, with our investment consultant and our record keeping team, we all do a great job, I think, of making that big team that really drives these outcomes and makes it the most beneficial program for government and state employees across the great state of Nevada.
Well, Rob, I want to go to commercial break, and we come back. We're going to talk to Rob about some of the things that he and the committee and the plan are discussing to get his insight into that. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy.
featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Welcome back. We're talking to Rob Beamer. He is the Executive Officer with the State of Nevada Public Employees Deferred Compensation Plan. Rob, thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure talking with you. And thanks so much for kind of laying out what your role is, how you interact with the Chief Administrative Officer of the state, how you interact with the board, and the governance process. I think that's really educational for people who maybe don't understand the insight into public DC plans. But I want to shift gears because you talked about what the committee does, and you meet on at least a quarterly basis, I would imagine. What are some of the issues that you talked about retirement readiness and wellness and participant communication? What are some of the things that you are talking about wrestling with as a committee?
Well, right now, of course, the big push, especially in the public sector, is this whole thought process of having auto features as part of your plan, right? And it's a struggle for some entities because either they have legislation or laws that are anti-wage garnishment laws that prevent them from executing something like that, right? Or implementing something like that. In our case in the state of Nevada, that isn't the case. There's really nothing that prevents us from doing it, but we do have to have the buy-in of our administration as well as our legislative body, who, gosh, I got to tell you, the previous administration with Governor Sandoval, they were fantastic, and they did such a great job, and they cared so much about employees across the state, but mainly government employees as well. And then our new administration, who the Governor Stephen Sisolak, who is the current governor and starting his first term as a state governor, his administration has picked up right where Governor Sandoval has left off. I think even sometimes more so. They're just so cognitive of making sure that we're doing everything we can in these employee benefits programs to really drive home financial wellness. And state of Nevada is in the process of about a 5-year project where they're going to revamp and kind of get up to the 21st century in the fact that they are redoing the whole entire onboarding process, and we're redoing all of our the way we handle data. We're going more to a cloud-based type system. So we're excited about that. We're getting ready to start prepare for our biannual legislative session. So I'm sure this will come up during that time. We're working with the governor's office and working with the committee in kind of developing that model and what it would look like. We're excited about that. We this last year went through, which I know a lot of other plans are going to this as well. We went through a full fee leveling type research and exercise where we implemented fee leveling, and we went away from kind of what a lot of plans we're used to is having revenue sharing dollars given back to them to help cover administration costs in the plan. We went away from that and we went to a hybrid type model where there were a portion of the expense for our record keeping was charged on variable assets as like an 8 basis point fee wrap. And then we charged, I think, $7.50 a quarter as an admin charge to cover our budget and stuff. And then we've just recently gone ahead and gone out to bid for that record keeping services contract. We completed that process, and we're bound to do that every 5 years by statute. We don't have a choice. So we just completed that process. I'm happy to announce that we retained our current record keeper, which is Voya Financial, and they do a great job for us. And we're excited with this new contract we have We ended up getting negotiating a great price for our participants. We reduced fees, so now all we have is we've dropped the asset-based portion off completely, and we just charge a standalone per account fee to each participant of $10.25. So it's pretty.
Yeah, and
pretty great.
Just for the benefit of the audience, just so they understand, I mean, typically a retirement plan is paid through the underlying funds, and there's something that Rob alluded to called revenue share. That's a small percentage of the expense ratio that goes to cover administration. Based on the fee disclosure rules, Rob, right, you probably decided to make that change, make it more transparent and also more equitable, right? That is that fairness factor that goes into paying for administration. So if you're in a fund that doesn't pay as much revenue sharing, you kind of got more of a free ride. Now it's a little bit more fair.
It is, and that was one thing that the committee really dwelled on was making sure that everybody's paying their equitable share of the expense. When you spread it out over multiple people, by all means, it's a lot less. And then we pass along that institutional share cost, if you will, that we get on our investment options that we negotiate directly through our urban architecture investment platform. We go ahead and negotiate that directly with our fund managers. That we have the cost is very minimal, especially when you compare it to what they would get in the retail setting, if you will, right? And that's what we point out to participants. We get participants that think that, we shouldn't have to pay a dime for this, and we have to explain to them that, that really there is no free ride, right? You do have to kind of pay to play, if you will, and we try and keep an eye on that, and we benchmark that along other plans of our size and demographic throughout the country to make sure that we're getting our participants the best possible cost that there is out there, right? That we can negotiate, and then we do that with our fund managers as well. And lo and behold, at the end of the day, it comes out that participants can see that they're putting more money in their account to use for emergencies and for supplemental income now and in retirement. And that's one thing we're kind of looking at with the committee as well. The kind of the third thing is, what can we do? What component can we have in the plan to help somebody out while they're in the accumulation phase of their life, starting families, buying first homes, right? All those things that we talk about when it comes to financial wellness. We're trying to figure out a way that we can help that as a component to deferred comp, help them with that so that they can continue on and save throughout their career and make this outcome for them, with the target being 75 to 80% income replacement that everybody retires out of a government entity with the state of Nevada having.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is a big issue: equity, transparency, making sure that costs are as low as possible. And I think you hit on it, Rob. People need to understand that it costs money to do the record keeping and administration, to have the website that people log into, or to answer the phones. I mean, those are staffed by human beings. It costs resources in terms of time and money to have those websites, to have them updated, and to produce participant materials and communication. So certainly, important for people to understand that. And I'm sure you and the team do a great job doing that. Well, Rob, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us some of the things that are going on with you, the committee, the state of Nevada, with the deferred compensation plan. And we certainly look forward to having you back on the program a little bit later this year to catch up and hear how things are going.
That'd be great, Jeff. And I do need to correct you on one thing. Because you're from the East Coast, you pronounce Nevada. So anytime you're talking to somebody from Nevada, make sure that you tell them, hey, if you say Nevada, you win like a big giant brownie.
Nevada,
points, right?
Nevada. My apologies. Thanks for correcting me, Rob. Take care, and great to see you.
You're great, Jeff. I sure appreciate you and all the work you do for driving retirement incomes throughout the country. You are a great guy, and your team's wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Hope you found it educational and enjoyable as well. Hey, have a financial topic or someone of interest that you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, and so much more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired of the same